Hey everyone, this is Mike, and today I'm going to be doing the level 80 overview of the Dancer job. Dancer is the new ranged physical DPS that was introduced in Shadowbringers, and I gotta say they did an amazing job on this job, because at first when I heard of Dancer, it was like, okay, dancing to buff the party sounds interesting, but how are they going to do it in this combat system that Final Fantasy has? So I was kind of skeptical about how it would play. But after having leveled it to 80, after having done some of the extreme trials on it, I gotta say it's actually really fun to play, and its dances are very intuitive as well. Now, I do have to say that if you're somebody that doesn't like much RNG in their job, you're gonna completely hate Dancer, as Dancer is 100% focused on RNG things in your rotation. All the way from the GCDs that you're using to the off GCDs that you're going to be using as well. So let's go over them really quickly. First of all, we have a 1-2 combo, which is these two abilities. And now, as you can see, when you use that, this ability lit up. Now, this means that my first ability, Cascade, flourished. And this allows me to use this next GCD. Now, this didn't do anything special, but this has a chance to grant me a 4-fold feather, which are these 4 squares that you can see over here. So I'm going to be using my 1-2 a little bit more. Oh, now the yellow one lit up. 1, 2. This time the green one lit up. Still no feathers though, so it's kind of sad. But basically, you use your 1-2. These have a chance to proc what is in my case 4 and 5. 4 and 5 have a chance to give me a feather, and when I use my feather on a fan dance, this has a chance to proc fan dance 3. So I'm going to use one of the off global cooldowns called Flourish, which automatically procs all of your procs. So when I use this, a bunch of stuff on my hotbar is going to light up. So I do 4, 5, oh, now I'm actually getting all of my feathers. And then the AoE variants of this as well. I'm going to use Fan Dance 3 to get rid of it. Now, as you can see, I have 3 feathers stored. Now, I can either use these feathers on Fan Dance 1, which is a single target ability, or on Fan Dance 2, which is an AoE ability around myself. These are also off GCDs, by the way. Now, when I use either of these, it has a chance to proc Fan Dance 3. So I use Fan Dance 1. Oh, it procced, so I can use Fan Dance 3. I go closer to use Fan Dance 2, it also procced Fan Dance 3. And then I use Fan Dance 1 again, oh, and it also procced. So, as you can see, I got really lucky there, because all of them procced the Fan Dance 3, but of course it is RNG in the end. So, your normal single target rotation is going to be 1-2, then 4 and 5 if they proc, and then you can use your feathers as you see fit, and then every 60 seconds you press Flourish to get all of your procs lit up. Now, of course, dancing is a very big part of your rotation, as well when it comes to single target and AoE, so I'll touch on that in just a second. For AoE rotation, Dancer actually does the exact same thing that they do for single target. You have a 1 and a 2 that combos into each other, and then these combo into what is, in my case, Alt 4 and Alt 5, and these have a chance to give feathers. And then, of course, when it comes to AoE, instead of spending your fan dances on Fan Dance 1, you spend them on Fan Dance 2, as that is the AoE variant of that. So that's how Dancer's AoE works, pretty simple. So yeah, let's talk about the dances now. So we have 2 different dances. We have Standard Step, which is a 2-step dance. We have Technical Step, which is a 4-step dance. Now, my 4 buttons here on the bottom, which are basically the 4 buttons that you use for your single target rotation, will transform into your steps. So when I press Standard Step, you'll see that I get red and then blue light up, and then you can also see that the red one is highlighted and then the blue one, so I press them in the correct sequence. Then I can press Standard Finish, and then I will deal damage and grant myself as well as my dance partner the Standard Finish and Esprit buffs. The way you choose your dance partner is by using close position on them at the start of the fight. You can swap dance partner during the middle of the fight if they were to die, for example. But it's usually a little bit too much of a hassle for me to care about. If you really want to min-max, then you'll be switching this during the fight, probably. But for now, it's too much hassle to really care about much, to be honest. Now, this is really important, using the standard step, as it does two things. Standard finish increases the damage that both you and your dance partner deal by 5%, and you also have now the ability to generate Esprit. Your dance partner will also generate Esprit for you. Now, the way how it works is every time you or your dance partner use a GCD, you have a chance to be granted Esprit. Now, the kind of issue with this is that for yourself, you want to be targeting the player that is the fastest, like for example a monk or a ninja or a samurai, because they use the most GCDs as they are the fastest jobs in the game. But on the other hand, you technically want to give dance partners to the strongest DPS in your comp, because that will benefit the group the most. So if you're going for your personal DPS, you want to tether somebody or dance partner somebody that is really fast so that you get the most Esprit out of it. But since Dancer is the lowest DPS on the rankings and is more focused about buffing your team up and your dance partner, you want to be using your dance or your close position on the strongest DPS in your team, be it a black mage or a monk or a dragoon or something like that. So you don't really want to look at yourself for this, but at what benefits the team the most. So let me quickly do my standard step again to get my Esprit. And then every time I use a GCD, or if my dance partner were to use a GCD, there is a chance, I believe it's 50%, to be granted Esprit. There we go. 10 Esprit, 20. I'm gonna keep hitting it a little bit more, just to get my stuff rolling. And meanwhile, I guess I'll just talk about one of our buffs, which is called Devilment. This is a DPS buff. It increases critical hit rate and direct hit rate by 20%. This is for both yourself as well as your dance partner, meaning that you're actually going to be boosting your dance partner's damage output by quite a lot. Not only because you're increasing their damage by 5% from the standard step, but also you're going to be giving them a 20% direct hit and crit buff every 2 minutes. Now, as you can see, we have 50 gauge. This means that we can now use Saber Dance. Saber Dance is a GCD, does damage to in an AoE, but it's 50% less for the second and the rest of the targets hit. And this basically is just your high potency attack. Looks like this, pretty strong. So you basically want to be using that during buff windows. And then last but not least, the last ability that we have is Technical Step. This is your 4-step dance. And this does not only grant yourself and your dance partner a damage buff, but it will grant your whole team the damage buff. And I'm pretty sure it also gives the red Esprit generation to your whole team as well. I'm not 100% sure on that one. So basically, you want to be dancing on cooldown, both of these. Since this is 2 minutes, you can use this together with Devilment, together with Flourish, as this is 60 seconds. So you can kind of see what you want to do here. So because Dancer has these resources that they can stack up, these do not expire. You can keep them for as long until you use them. You want to try stacking at least 3 feathers. I like 3 because if you use 4, you might overcap on feathers. But you want to cap at least 3 feathers and make sure that you can at least use 1 Saber Dance from when your Technical Finish Devilment phase comes up. Because Technical Finish gives you, I think it's like a 10% damage increase or something like that. And then the Devilment gives you that 20% crit direct hit rate, meaning that you're going to be bursting really hard during this phase. So having Saber Dance stacked up, like having 70 or 80 gauge, and then pray that you get a 30 or 20 extra gauge during that so you can use a second Saber Dance, and then having your feathers ready to go as well, because if you then, let me just quickly dance, and then use my Flourish, and then you can just be spamming feathers all the time pretty much, and then you do a bunch of damage. So as you can see, a lot of GCD weaving going on with this job as well. So basically all of your 1 minute rotation is going to be relatively slow, as you're just going to be using your 1, 2, 4 and 5 in my case, and then using your dance every now and then. But then when your Flourish phase comes up, you press it, and then you basically every time you get that 4th feather stack, you use it so that you get back down to 3. So that might get pretty like intense with all of the off GCD weaving that you're doing. and then when you use technical step together with devilment, together with flourish, you basically want to dump all of your feathers and all of your saber dances that you have left into that final kind of window. Now, that's not where Dancer ends. It also has some more party utility. We have Shield Samba. This is our defensive buff towards the party. If you saw my Machinist video yesterday, then you'll have seen that Machinist variant is Tactician. So this is the same, it doesn't overlap with each other, so if you have both a Machinist and a Dancer in the party, see who is using what where so that you don't overlap. Other than that, we also have Curing Waltz. When you use this, both you and your partner will heal the party in a small AoE around you. So if you're all stacked up, you can use this to get 2 heals immediately back to back. And then last but not least, we have this thing right here, Improvisation, where you just start dancing a bit. Everybody that is inside of this AoE will grant you Esprit over time. As you can see, my Esprit gauge is slowly going up. And will also reduce the damage that they take by 10%. So this is really good to use during a phase where the boss is hitting you, but you can't hit the boss, like for example the transition of Titania or with Innocence, when they do their ultimate abilities. You don't really you can't hit them, so you might as well use Improvisation. So yeah, that's kind of how Dancer works. For the opener, what I like to do, I'm just gonna, well, I guess it doesn't really matter that I have some Esprit gauge. So what you want to do in the opener is you, of course, give close position to the highest DPS that you think it's going to be. I like to start out with Standard Step to give myself as well as my partner the buff. I use Devilment so that we all get the crit buff immediately and it lasts long enough as well. Use Technical Finish, Flourish, and then inside this Flourish I'm going to be spending all of my procs that I get on my feathers and such, and then of course I now also have 50 gauge for the Saber Dance, and there we go. That is kind of the end of the opener. One thing that you can also do to kind of optimize this a bit more is you can use your Standard Step 15 seconds before the pull. You can preload your steps, and then as the pull goes down, you can just wait on using the Standard Finish until like it almost runs out to 1, use it, bam, and now you technically have like a 15-second cooldown reduction on your Standard Step, so you can use it more often in the fight. You can maybe get an extra usage out of it if you do it like this. So yeah, that's pretty much Dancer. It is, oh yeah, we also have this thing, which is kind of like your Gap Closer, which has 3 charges. It goes towards where you're facing, so it's not where you're facing with the camera, it's where your character is facing. But yeah, I think those are all of the skills of the Dancer. Yes, it is. So yeah, Dancer is a very high, like I guess proc-based job. So if you're somebody that likes the RNG aspect of jobs, Dancer will probably be for you. It can feel very satisfying when all of your procs are happening. It can also feel very unsatisfying when you're getting none of your procs. So you kind of have to get lucky in that regard. But then of course we do have Flourish to kind of help you out with getting more procs, as it procs everything for you once every minute. And then of course you're going to be dancing on cooldown as well, which you use this every 30 seconds, you use this every 2 minutes. So all in all, everything together, Dancer is relatively active, it's pretty fun, and it's all about pooling all of your resources for that technical finish burst phase that you can get. So yeah, with that being said, we've talked about everything there is to talk about the Dancer. It's pretty simple to pick up. It's probably a lot of optimization and prioritization that you can do regarding raid buffs, as well as your own buff alignment with technical finish and devilment and all of that stuff. So it's a pretty fun job to play. I think they did an incredibly good job with something that I thought was going to be pretty difficult to implement into this game. But I've had a good time playing it. Everybody loves having a Dancer in their party because it makes them do more damage as well. So yeah, what is there not to love about the Dancer job? So with that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.